Recording.
Okay, can I have all your attention, please? Thanks so much for coming to this session on self-managing student teams. My name is Elaine Hayes, and I teach software engineering, Java and JavaScript and C++ at Foothill College, which is down the peninsula here. And I've been involved for a number of years now with a grant on scenario-based learning. And so I've transformed my classes to do team projects in real-world situations. And I've been trying to have my classroom mimic a software development company and have the students be members of a software development team. My colleague Jane Ostrander is the principal investigator of this grant. She's going to be here today, but she's very sick. But she will be with us on CCC Confer, I believe. She's there now. I'm not sure if we've got her voice. But we also have a number of other instructors that are helping us here. Kathy House and Judy Frederickson from Truckee Meadows, and we've all taught a number of workshops, and we're trying to get a number of instructors across the country involved in this. But one of the big things about scenario-based learning is we always have the students work together in teams. And that's one of the biggest challenges for me as an instructor, because I've always been a teacher, and I worked in teams a little bit in industry before I went to Foothill 20 years ago. I got my master's degree, all the way up through master's degree, only once doing a team project in college, and after all those years. And of course, as an instructor, I don't work in a team. Now I do with this research group, but before that I never did. So I have very little experience working in a team and even less experience managing a team. And now that's what I've been trying to do for a few years. And so I just wanted to share with you some of the solutions I came up with, some of the ways that I've been dealing with this. And I'd like to hear from you different ways that you work with student teams, or that you'd like to, or reasons that are keeping you from putting your students into teams. And we can talk about that, especially near the end of the hour today. But I want to start out with why is it important? What's the motivation? Why do we want our students to work in teams? Does anybody have any answers to that?
Because they don't want to.
Just make them do it. Show our power and control. Okay?
And we'll also learn communication skills.
They have to communicate.
Yeah.
Right, which is what they have to do in the job.
Because we'll be on working teams, most likely when the business is when they're employees.
In their jobs, they're going to have to work in teams, and they're going to be expected to know how to.
And also one of the number one issues that employers speak of, that is one of the things their employees are coming in and not being able to.
Yeah, that brings up, I got a lot of pushback initially from students, especially, it was particularly in this one night class I was teaching, where there are a number of students that had been laid off from the aerospace industry, and they were coming to update their skills, and they were saying, I just want to learn Python or Java or whatever. I don't need all this process stuff. I don't need to communicate. I already know how to communicate. They're tending to be middle-aged men. And I didn't want to just say to them, why do you think you got laid off? I didn't want to say that. So I actually got, the research grant that does the scenario-based learning funded the making of this video. And this is a 10-minute video. We're not going to watch the whole thing. But what I did was I interviewed employers and asked them what skills are important. Anyway, we can just watch a little bit of it now. It's a little high, isn't it? Oops. I got it. I think that's good now.
Recognizing and inputting into the subject matter of itself is just not good enough nowadays. I would guess 50% of engineering effort is wasted on because of poor communication. To me, it's bad and efficient. We look for the basic programming skills and coding skills, which is needed for all engineers. But I think one of the distinguishing factors that we look for in someone who can really fit in Google is really communication skills and working in a team, or team working skills. So when I'm interviewing a candidate, I always give them a problem to solve on the board. But I try trying to make it clear to them that most of the importance on placing is on how they describe what they're doing and their thought process, step by step, so they can break down their thought process easily and expose it to me bit by bit.
A certain amount of paper does not get you through the interview, so there's communication skills that kind of get you the job.
When we hire or when we interview students for opportunities, we certainly find that soft skills are extremely important for a technical position.
So the telltale signs for someone having strong communication skills in an interview, for me at least, is really observing how they tackle even simple problems. I'll give you a classic example. So I get someone a problem saying, here's an algorithm you need to write code on the board. 9 out of 10 folks might get the answer right, or might get it wrong, but you find a few of those people actually taking the time out to explicitly state what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. So sort of verbalizing the approach before they start. At that point, they kind of pause and ask for feedback, saying, this is what I'm thinking. Does that make sense? And should I go ahead with it? Here are the pros, here are the cons. These are obvious telltale signs of the person who's not just thinking aloud, but really asking for feedback and using that feedback as part of his output for the interview.
So that was, that's now, I always show this to the students at the beginning so they don't say, why do I need to be in teams? I hate teams. I don't want to work in teams. Because these are the managers that they want to impress. And so they're going to be going, and especially that last thing that the Google employer said about not being so full of confidence that someone's just going to say, this is the answer you're asking me for, but to actually check back. And that's part of the communication, right? Just keeping checking back all the time. Do you get it? Is this what you wanted? And that is pretty surprising. So now, ever since I've shown this to my students, I don't get that pushback about why do we have to do this. It definitely works. And so I want to invite everybody else to use this in your classes if you'd like. If you go to YouTube and you just type, what skills do I need to get hired, this one will come up. And as I said, it's 10 minutes, which isn't too long, and you can even ask the students to watch it on their own. Any questions so far? Okay, I wanted to have you guys do a team activity today. Why do we need to do that? Why do we need to do that?
want to learn code.
So I'm going to break you into small groups and have you come up with, collaborate. Each group should come up with one list of the top 10 characteristics of a good team. This was actually an exercise that Leanne Chun over in Hawaii came up with. She has her students do it, her online students. We have teams in fully online classes as well. And they can use wikis and things to collaborate together to make one team product. And your team, but you guys probably want to do pencil and paper now. Your team product is going to be the top 10 characteristics of what is a good team. And I'll give you 7 minutes to do it. Let's say 5, let's say you 5 here. And then let's say you 3 and you. Go back here. You can get the middle crowd there. 5 people. Okay.
Yeah, she's it. That's great. She's talking.
know there's nobody seems to be turning the lights on. Like because of I was in here all morning.
I don't know why that is.
Maybe because of the overhead. I mean the projector looks better.
What I would do, I'll let the people see so they're able to see. I can control the mic from there.
Oh, I want to put it over on the board that has.
Oh, you want to do that around? So, and I'll set it back up. Like that? Well, it's because we're not transmitting it. Let's see it now. What's that?
You still can't really read it very well.
It will adjust a little. I don't think it looks too bad. Let me see if I can focus it.
Because I don't have a black pen. I only have blue green.
Whoa, just went around. I didn't realize what that control did. Sorry.
How about also the P?
Jane, would you like to do a voice test and make sure we can hear you?
Can you hear me now?
We didn't hear a thing. Are you pressing down the microphone key, Jane? Control F2 or the right in the bottom left-hand corner? Oh, she has it pressed. Let's run the audio wizard then, because we're not catching you. And we know our audio's working.
You can also just ask her to you know one of say
Okay, is that working? Is that working? Is that working?
Ah, there you are.
There.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay. There is a
We
delay.
got you, Jane.
Okay, there is a delay.
Oh, okay. There is a delay. Okay, there is a delay.
Yeah, a little bit, but it's it's manageable. It actually here it's happening in real time.
Good.
Good.
Do I need to push down the button to talk?
Yeah, so we got her. So she can talk on here also. Sure.
Great.
I think I'll turn the camera off so I can go back to what you do. Is that okay?
yeah.
You
Okay, guys, just take a couple more minutes to finish up. And if you don't have the same characteristics, that's okay. Let me report back.
So they're still exchanging too. They're acting like a team. Yeah.
These are really cool. Somebody giving me these out? Okay, let's get that together and this is the mic, right? So let's put it facing out this way. Okay, everybody, let's have one person from each team report out. You can tell us what you came up with as your characteristics, and then also if you came up with anything. Well, let's just do the characteristics first, and then we'll see if anybody had any other great ideas as you were doing this. So, does anyone would you guys like to start?
Yeah, we're a little worried about our tenses here.
Okay.
That the individual task plays to the person's strength. It's the one that each task is assigned each person.
Like a role.
Goes to their individual strength. That there's, you leave your ego at the door. Everyone has the same overall goal for the project. Creativity and experimentation is encouraged, and to work through the failures. Good communication, mutual respect, listen as much as you talk, and clearly defined roles for the members.
Okay. And one thing I wanted to pick out of that, I forgot to say in the introduction, was the difference between a group and a team. Does anybody know the difference between a group and a team? Right?
Is it a shared goal?
The team. Right. Right, because sometimes you can say, okay, you guys are the group that's going to study variables, and you guys are the group that's going to study methods. I mean, I guess they have the same team, the same goal, but better, or you're the A group and you're the B group or something. They don't necessarily are trying to work together, to come together. So a team is one who does have one overall goal. Now, I have to say, a lot of your characteristics sound like individual ones, though. Did you guys notice that? Talking about, one person should act this way and a person should act that way. And we were looking more for something that a whole team would go together. But I like your idea, too, of the defined roles. That's really helpful so they don't step on each other's toes, do the same work. Okay, great, thanks.
One thing to you after you did characteristics tonight, I think we just went through and identified things like, I don't know if these are characteristics or not. Anyway, here's what we came up with. Clearly defined responsibilities and commitment, listening skills, defer to expertise, everyone contributes, respect each other, agreement on tasks/goals to be accomplished, follow through on commitments, asking questions, establishing a timeline for the project, identifying a leader or go-to person.
Okay, great. Great, yeah, equal commitment. The other way that I have students do this activity is as a contract. Where you say, you know, everybody in this team will do this, we'll do that, we'll do the other thing, we'll be committed, we'll try for an A, or we'll stay in contact, stay in communication, or honor the commitment, honor the schedule, the deadline, and those kinds of things. And then actually have the students sign it at the very beginning. So that's a useful thing. So then later on when they screw up, which we know they will do, you can go back and tell them, look, you said you weren't going to do that. You said you weren't going to drop out and not answer emails for a week. You signed this here. Great, thanks.
Common goal, clearly defined and agreed upon goal.
Good.
Frequent check-ins. Individual accountability. Clearly defined tasks. Flexibility. Constructive criticism. Good documentation. And fun.
Okay, great. Yeah. And you can imagine a team that rewrites those in terms of I will do this, or this, everybody on this team will do this, we'll do that, we'll do each one of those things, and then they sign it, and then you can have something to hold them to. Great. You guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the first one we had down was good sense of humor. And a willingness to compromise, respect other team members, ability to listen, asking questions, no slackers allowed, clear and concise writing, accurate verbal communication, and two, looking out for each other and a common goal.
Okay, good. Yeah, looking out for each other, and that's kind of like the flexibility. Somebody gets sick, somebody else will take it in there. And verbal communication. One thing that I didn't hear that I think is important is that you value each other's time. And accurate communication made me think of that. So you don't just whip out some email that so everyone's going to kind of take 20 minutes to figure out what you meant. You know, you will take the extra 30 seconds to put it in there well, or you're not, you know, your first draft, because often, usually what they're doing with their team's deliverables is that all the team's names will go on it. And so they're all going to be reviewing each other's work, and the furthest the person that makes the first draft, the furthest that they get, the more precise and clear their communication is in that, the less everybody else is going to have to be reviewing and stuff like that. So just kind of valuing that is also good. Anybody come up with anything while you were trying to reach consensus, or did you hear something from another team? One of the other things we do in scenario-based learning is we debrief every time we do an activity like that. Oh yeah, Jane probably has something to say.
Yeah, looks like she's down there.
Jane is here on
Hi. Cynthia from my group of studies wrote out the ideas for us.
Oh, that's right, I forgot. You had an online group. I'm sorry. You had an online team there, Jane. I'm sorry about that. So do you want to tell us what it says, Jane?
Okay, online group for ideas. A leader, good communication, a plan of action, a system for tracking progress, and a tool for evaluation of success.
Yeah, that's great. Tracking progress and assessing or evaluating. Yeah, and that kind of comes up with debrief so that every time the team meets a deadline or some benchmark on the schedule, you can get together in as a team and say, what did we do well, what did we do poorly, what messed us up, what really came through and solved our problems for us, what should we strive to do more of in the future. and what should we try to avoid. And so there's a sort of you were saying a way to evaluate or assess how we did. And I think that if you come up with a contract, did everybody meet the deadline they said they would? Did everybody really review each other's work like they said they would? Did everybody do their part? And did we have any bad communication? Was there some way we communicated that we didn't understand each other online or something like that?
Yeah, you need to have a way of dealing with problems.
Yes. That is a good one, right. That is another good one. That students have come up with that in their contracts that they've made for each other. If someone drops the class, if someone in the team drops the class, what are we going to do? If someone in the team just stops returning emails, what are we going to do? And they can come up with that at the beginning. It's sort of like a risk assessment, and then plan for disaster kind of thing. Come up with a plan like that in the beginning, so that then when it happens, you've got something there. Now, of course, you don't want to plan so well that somebody will say, "Oh, they know what they're going to do if I drop, so I'm just going to drop." I guess that's a risk. I never thought of that one before, but I don't think they'll think of that. People are going to drop for whatever reason they're going to drop, and it's not going to have to do with the fact that their team has a plan. Yeah, that's a really good one, Jane. Thank you. Anything else? And we're doing a little debrief here now about what you feel like you just got out of this exercise, or how you might use it in your class.
There is one thing, not enough to, but there is one thing applicable to their experience. I have a concept what's called evaluation, where you evaluate the leaders and then the team members evaluate each other. And maybe that's part of the debrief. I have forms, and people fill them out.
Good.
And it's part of the grading.
That's great. Jane, did you hear that?
No.
And Cynthia, what's her name?
Yeah.
Jackie said that she has the students fill out a form that evaluates their team members.
And if there's a team leader as well, and the team leader also evaluates the team members.
Yeah, so the team members evaluate the team leader, and the team leader evaluates the team members. Yeah. One thing, Jane gave me a good idea a couple of years ago that I've always been using, which is at the end of the project, my project lasts about 5 weeks, I tell the students, and I tell them at the beginning, if you do a good job, your team will get a $1,000 bonus, and you'll get to decide within yourself how to split up that money. And then at the end of the project, I give them all the $1,000 bonus, not really, but I tell them, I just give them a form that says, how would you divide up this $1,000 bonus? And they fill that out with their teammates not watching. So they get to say, now they usually give it all equally, even though the work was not really done equally. But at least I think it's more preventative. I think because they're thinking all through the course of the project, oh, my team members will, are watching to see if I do make an equal contribution. That it's helpful in that sense.
But I think that happens in the real world too. On my job, when I have to work with my colleagues, and even though I feel I did more work, maybe not, I still would never, ever say this.
Yeah. Did you hear that, Jane?
Maybe it's just part of what we are as human beings.
Repeat the end of it again.
I'll repeat. Kathy says that she would always think that even if she felt that she was doing more work than everybody else, that she would never say that in an evaluation of her teammates. Because just as human beings, we sort of overestimate our own work, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's more for people to say when team members do not do their work. The assumption is that everybody did their own work.
So somebody admits to being a poor team member.
Actually, no. I mean that I as a team member would identify that someone else did not do their work.
I see, yeah.
I would not talk about my own work.
You're talking about everybody else. Yeah, I see. That's right. And what?
I'm Ken from Vermont, and in my experience, they will speak kindly of one another in each other's presence and rat like squealing little pigs.
Yeah.
That's been my experience also.
Yeah. When I actually have used these splitting up of the bonuses, because if the other, for the grade, if the other team members are all saying, this guy, Joe, did all the work, and pretty much everybody on his team agreed, I might knock his individual score higher, because I think he should get some credit for that. So that's how I've actually used it in grading. Not all the time, maybe one person per quarter out of 30 or so, not regularly though.
Hi, Terry from one of the ways you could twist this might be treating it more like an evaluation, peer evaluation or a manager evaluation, using kind of the same thing, but maybe relating it to a job where you're asked to do a peer evaluation of people.
That's a great idea. Yeah, find a real, authentic HR form that's used for peer evaluation, and have the students fill that out. So they get some, that's really realistic. That's great. I usually do 4 to 5 because somebody, like I did in this room here, because 2 I find real problematic. I'm not sure why. Somebody was talking about pairs programming. The guys from Berkeley yesterday. Craig, you guys are... Somehow 2 is way too small, and what if they don't like each other? And we're not talking about coding. I mean, I could see, in extreme programming, they have pairs programming, but then you don't work with that same person day after day. I guess you guys don't either. In your labs, you only work for that one lab. But 2 is real problematic if they have a personality clash. They disagree, then you got a real problem. So with 3, at least you can have majority rules.
Cynthia has a hand raised. She says, do you find that team projects work better in the beginning, middle, or end of the course?
I'll answer that one. I started in the middle because at that point I'm able to put the like students together, students that are like each other, that have similar motivations, that want an A, that have similar skills and abilities. And so that way, so at the first day of class, I have no idea what their abilities are. And so by midterm, I can put the really fast students together, and then they'll work on a project with some extra requirements on it. And then the slower students, I'll put together, and they'll work on a project with fewer requirements. I'll say, oh, you don't have to do error checking or something like that. So that's what I do. I try to really put the students together that are similar to each other.
So is that like in the Olympics where the complexity of the problem is part of the number system, part of the grading in the end? In other words, do the projects that have no
No, you're talking about like in gymnastics and diving where if they try a really difficult move and they do it well, they get more points. No, I don't do it that way because we give a lot of students A's that are really like A++++. And I mean our grading is just pretty imprecise anyway, my feeling. So I don't mind that. I don't put that into the grading at all. No.
That's a good one to get a little forward too. If they know a lot of that stuff and move faster.
Yeah, and there's always that student, they end up with 100% of the points in the class, and they could have done 150 points if you had given it to them, but they're still getting the same A. So, I mean, you could do that if you wanted. If you wanted to, you could, but that's a little tricky though, because sometimes those students that are really slow in the beginning really come out in the end and really deserve an A, but because they did poorly in the beginning, maybe they have no chance of getting an A because you gave them a lesser project or something. So I would fear something like that. But yeah, 4 or 5, I think 4 is probably a perfect number for a team. And so I would do it, I would maybe have 5 because often somebody drops. Quite often somebody drops.
Jane wants to know, how do Kathy and Judy select teams since they do their whole team as a scenario?
Since you start from day 1 with a team, How do you guys divide?
I just randomly set up my teams on the first day of class, usually based on where people are teachers when the captions. So the leaders to find somebody they find attractive or they buy a friend or things like that. And then after about 2.5 or 3 weeks, the first projects are relatively straightforward, easy, but they have to work together with their team. And then I have them do an assessment of their teams and their teammates. And I look at what they turned into that day. And based on those assessments and what people have turned in, showing that they're working in the courses, I recruit the team.
So they don't stay in the same teams the whole quarter, the whole semester, yeah.
So I actually do that on 2 occasions. And so there's a possibility that within about 5 weeks of the semester, they changed teams a couple times.
Yeah.
And what I ended up doing last year, and have kept with, is that the students that aren't motivated, that aren't doing anything, they end up being put together.
Yes.
So you either hold together and survive or
yeah. I do that too. I also do allow students to request to be on a team with a certain person, because I think when people are on a team with their friend, they do better. They like hanging out with them, and they talk about it on the weekends and stuff. Yeah. So I do allow them if they're like enough in their abilities. You know, if they're at least, you know, one level next to each other, if not at the same level, I still put them on the same team.
I mean, I don't get to pick my teams. So when they come into class, I put them in a team and it's sink or swim.
So it's just kind of random? Okay.
I didn't do online. It's for teams.
In the online, well, like my online class, I still don't put them into teams until after they've turned some work in, so I can tell what they've turned in. So is there another question about online, or what? Is there?
Yeah, well, the reason is strategy kids this last semester, people with Spanish, unfortunately, two another one talking about those guys.
Yeah, when I've done schools online, there's a lot of reshuffling and some people drop.
Maybe it should be.
Well, again, you can just make bigger teams at the beginning, and then they drop, The other thing that I do when they drop is I go to the team and I say, you know, how much work do you think you can do? And again, remove a requirement or two so that they do a slightly lesser project. I mean, they're working on basically the same project, but just take off some of the requirements that aren't really that instructive or necessary, so that they, you know, say, well, I see you've lost a team member, so now you don't have to do as much. So anybody else have anything to add?
I just have a question. What are your software engineering classes when you're doing this? At what level kind of, how much experience do you have?
I do it for my beginning programming class, and I know Jane does as well. I'm sorry, Judy. Judy does as well.
I do it in my beginning C++ class.
And I do it in my beginning Java class.
And I do it in my advanced.
And then I do it in my advanced class as well. So it's just, yeah. I don't think that it needs to be at a certain level at all. I know that the keynote speaker yesterday kept talking about capstone courses, and I don't think you need to wait until a capstone course. I don't think it's advisable to wait. I think that working in teams on projects is a good way to learn no matter what level you're at. So I'll show you a little bit, tell you a little bit about tools and processes, and we'll go to the next item on the agenda there. Tools and processes, I'll tell you just a little bit about scenario-based learning. Probably most of you know about it, but the idea is we put the students into a scenario. We say, you're in programming interns or junior programmers or maintenance programmers or something like that, and you're in a team, and I'm your boss, and here's your project, and here's your deadlines. I just give them the deadlines, and they have to make up a schedule. And what I decided recently was that I should give them a week and a specific task with a set of deliverables purely for team organizing their team. So we could think of it as task 0 or something. I have the whole project takes 4 tasks, and I introduce an initial task, which actually it's called task 1 here. With our scenarios, we always introduce the project in a memo or email form. So it's like you get a memo from your boss saying this is your new job, and this is your new position in your team. I'll bring out the light so you can see a little bit better. And so you can see I have task 1. It's called Organize Your Team. Task 2 is Design Document. Task 3 is Implement one feature. Task 4, and so on. But I just want to go over Task 1. This is the very first week, and they're going to be with the same team through all of these 4 tasks. And in my class, we're on the quarter system, and they take a week to do each one of these tasks. And so I give them a whole week to organize their team. And so they have to, what I have them deliver here, I have a team schedule. I give them a, which I'll download and hopefully view right now. It's just starting to download. I'll go back here and show you the other. Okay, here's Excel. I give them a blank team schedule. They have a number of deliverables. I'll show you this one first. They have to make up a schedule. I'm a Mac user, so this isn't that great. So each team has to make up a schedule, and they say, okay, what are the sort of subtasks? This is for each deliverable. They're going to have 4 deliverables, and for each one they have to come up with what is like a subtask. When is it going to be due to the team? Who's going to be responsible for it? What has to be done before this can be done? What date and time then does that have to be done? And it goes out here. It's kind of hard to look at, but it's basically they should be able to schedule out, and then who actually does. Oh, this is the date and time that it actually gets completed, which may not be the same time that it was due. And the person completing it may not be the person who is responsible in the first place. And so they should be able to, at this point, schedule out all 4 tasks in the whole entire project. Because I've given them the due dates. I say task 4 is due on this date. So they have to say, okay, well, that means I have to have a draft copy to my team 3 days prior, and my team has to give me feedback 2 days prior so that I can incorporate their feedback 1 day prior and then have it due when Elaine wants it. So they have to think back through that. So this schedule, they have to fill it out. I just give them a blank one. That's only one of the deliverables this week. Let me see. I have the requirements. This task. So they have to do 2 things this week. They have to do a team contract, which they all sign, which is like the characteristics of a good team, but with commitment added to it. And also the team schedule, which we just looked at. The other thing that I think it's in the team contract is they have to decide how they're going to communicate. You know, it used to be like one person would say, well, I was writing you a Facebook message, and the other person would say, well, I was checking my email, I didn't get your Facebook message, and the other person said, well, I was using our public discussion in the public forum on the course website, and the other person said, well, I was calling and leaving you voicemails, and they're like, nobody's communicating. So they have to start out and say, this is where we're going to keep all of our work. This is how we're going to communicate with each other. This is a day and a time during the week when we can all meet. That's a really tough one. I had a team last quarter where one member could only meet during the day and the other one only at night. I wish now that I had actually moved those team members around. Even if they don't meet physically, they still need to meet synchronously. And this one team basically fell apart at one point because there was no time that they could all talk on the phone to each other. And so that's something you got to start out right away. When is it? Well, you know, Thursdays at 2 or whatever, or Wednesday nights at 5 are kind of good for me or whatever. That also needs to be done this week. And so a lot of these mechanics of how is the team going to work gets ironed out right away.
How long have you been doing these team projects?
4 years maybe, and I'm on a quarter system, so that's 3 times a year.
The introduction of Google Docs or any of those help to improve that concept?
Yes.
The meeting process?
Oh, the meetings?
Like sharing of documents?
Sharing of documents, definitely. Definitely. And in fact, one thing also that really help. Yeah, a number of technologies have helped. I use my course management system is called Sakai. It's just like Blackboard or Moodle. And they introduced just about a year ago, they allowed me to make a discussion forum that only one team could see. And so now the team can choose to use that to communicate if they want. Not all of them do, but the ones that want to can use that. So that helps too. But yeah, certainly Google Docs helps, and Skype helps so that they don't have to use their cell phone minutes in order to have a meeting for an hour. A lot of those kinds of things really help a lot.
We're seeing a lot of demand for SharePoint experience. If you're familiar with Microsoft SharePoint.
No.
It's used as a collaborative tool by most of the business in our area. I always find it interesting to try SharePoint, use it as an LMS, or like an LMS, or maybe for a project like this. That way students will learn, they get some experience on a product or actually will use, they can go to the interview and say, oh, Dad, I used SharePoint for a year, in class. It's something to think about. Well, Microsoft will, their evangelists will probably set something up for you. If you're interested. I recommend talking to your Microsoft.
Like Kenny Spade is here at this conference.
Yeah.
That's right. The other thing that I do use is CCC Confer on my fully online class. Luckily, that one is a more advanced one. It's advanced JavaScript. And we meet once a week synchronously online. And the students actually make a presentation. The team, one team each week, not all of them, but one team each week presents on CCC Confer to the whole class. So everybody shows up Friday at noon on CCC Confer. One team is responsible to make the presentation of their work that week. And I have someone from industry there as well. And so the industry person critiques, gets the first shot at critiquing, and then once that's finished, then the whole class gets to ask the industry person ask them any questions that they want. And a lot of the people in the video there have been guests in my class, both in the online CCC Confer meeting or in the face-to-face class. And the students love that, of course. But I'm amazed at how the students can handle that technology.
Oh, they'll find stuff you didn't even know. My students use Dim to me, and that was free. And
Jane's got a hand up.
Yeah.
Jane, did you want to say something, or do you want me to take them to this link? Can't hear you.
Sorry, I just wanted them to know it was available.
Okay. Organize your team, so follow that link?
Oh, yes. Well, no, we're there already.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh, so you put it out, right?
Yeah. So that for Cynthia. Yeah, you guys can use this scenario. We have a number of other scenarios. If you go to learnpbl.com, which is the other website, that was the one we started at, learnpbl.com, and I wrote that website up here too. We have a number of scenarios, including the one that I was looking at just then. If you click on scenarios there, you can see a number of scenarios. The ones at the top of the list are mostly professional development one, but no, my new one is there, yeah. That's the one it's at the top of the list though. And you should feel free to use it. And actually, we would like to know if you're using it though, so that we can tell the NSF and they'll fund us next time again. But there's a number of other ones here for network security and Linux, office management, bioinformatics.
The thing about it, even if that's not your cup of tea or your expertise, you can take those. Like I started mine with something that I had nothing to do with, and I just morphed it into a Linux, and then from there I created my own stuff. So it can be used even if you don't like Linux or whatever else.
Right. And we do have a new tool now for building scenarios in Google Sites that makes it fairly easy if you have a project. I did want to ask you guys what might be stopping you from using Teams, or what problems you've encountered when you have used Teams, or what successful strategies you've found.
Well, as you know, most students are potential lawyers, so they're always looking for loopholes. And one of the problems with teams is that I hate being told I'm fair. We have a lot of people trying to be fair, but my idea of fair is level playing field. Their idea of fair is help me, don't help anybody else. So we have a little dispute there sometimes. But there's often a great resistance to teams because people say, look, I'm in here to learn, and I don't care about these people, and why should they drag me down? And then they want me to fix it. And I enjoy telling them, no, that's part of the problem is you have to fix it.
Yeah, I mean, if you can help them fix it, it's a
You're
big
not
thing
doing
to
them any
do.
favors.
Right.
If you help them fix it, you're really not doing them any favor. You're putting back up, Mom, I'm in jail, bail me out, which I'd rather not see them in that position.
I mean, the only thing I won't do is pull them off of a team and put them on a different one because they don't like one of their team members. But what I will do...
vote somebody off the island. If somebody's not working, what better lesson?
Well, that too, they can get fired, yeah. That's right. But then I make that one who gets fired work by themselves. They have to do the whole project by themselves.
Or they could go to the island of forgotten toys and work with the other people who got in trouble.
That's true. I hadn't thought of that one. But what I will do with
Prove me wrong, kids. Prove me
right.
wrong.
What I will do is I will say we're going to have a meeting tomorrow at 2 p.m. and I'll schedule it on CCC Confer, and I will be there and I will moderate that meeting or facilitate that meeting. Yes, with just that team. By phone, because they can never make it face-to-face, even if it's a face-to-face class. They can't, do something like that. But most of the time when I do that, and I call it, I say, you guys show up, most of them do show up because they're afraid people say bad things about them if they don't. So in that sense, I do sort of help them fix it for them. I don't say you're right and you're wrong, but I say, we have to talk about it now.
No, that's good.
I used to make each team member write up and what they contributed and what they found good about it and what they
that's a good thing to do every week, not just at the end. That's what Leanne told me, Leanne Chen at Leeward College in Hawaii. Every week she has a quick meeting, and they have these in software development companies too. They call them stand-ups. They don't sit down because they want it to be very fast. And everybody says, what did you do that week? What difficulties were you having? What support do you need? And what are you going to do next week? And that should not take very long in a team of 4 or 5 people. And again, it mirrors industry. Did you have something to say to?
Face-to-face online classes without a scheduled meeting time is a big challenge, especially among the students, because I find it when I try to schedule an online office hour or whatever.
So she's saying the scheduling problems with the fully online class are difficult. What Leanne does is she actually schedules a meeting with every team every week in her fully online class. And I've been trying not to do that because I don't want to make that time commitment. But then I have many more difficulties than she has. So I'm thinking that that's really what I need to do. Even if it's only a 20-minute meeting, I do need to schedule a team meeting with every team every week, especially online. You can use your face-to-face class time for doing that, if you have a face-to-face class, but if you don't. And then again, if people in the team that cannot meet at the same time, they shouldn't be in the same team. And what
Cynthia wants to know, the quick meetings are, and this has to be the last one.
Okay.
Quick meetings, are they run by the professor or the students? And she says, I think she just answered the question. Oh, good.
That's a good question, actually. When there's a difficulty with a team, I run it. But if it's just a smooth running team that's just doing a check-in, probably the team leader should run it.
Oh, I have another question. Do you select your team leaders for each task?
It's up to the team. If they want to do that, then they can. If they want to each take a turn being the manager. Right.
Very good, thank you.
Okay, thanks. And thank you, everyone.